The city and the county, the city of Hudson and the county are a little bit different. We have, there are committee meetings at which we nominate people, but the nomination then becomes one of endorsement. It does not assure them a place on the ballot. That place on the ballot only comes out through the petitioning process. And if you've been lucky enough to be around with people like me carrying clipboards and stopping people at railway stations in the town dump, we get registered Democrats to sign saying, yes, I want this person to be on the ballot. We have signature requirements. We have to get essentially 5% of the registered Democrats in the number of signatures to put that person on the ballot for that jurisdiction. The reason I'm going into this is because, you know, I always thought when I was a kid growing up, oh, they nominated this guy and he's on the ballot. But this is New York State. We do things our own way. We like to make things a little more tricky, you know, than they might otherwise be. But it requires filing these petitions with the Board of Elections. The petitions are scrutinized. The petitions have to be done in a certain way. That's the reason you'll find party regulars saying that if you need 100 signatures on a petition, we want 200, so that our petitions will survive any challenges to those petitions. There's also a campaign finance registration requirement. The State Board of Elections manages that through their campaign finance division, so a candidate registers with them, and depending upon the amount of campaign receipts or expenditures, they have filing to do and a specific schedule, a time frame of reports that they do. We like to think that we have an election strategy template, identifying issues clearly important for all of us. And Dee talked about the kinds of issues that are important to people in our local elections. And we're certainly finding that out. One of the great lessons we all learned from this last campaign was that we perhaps lost sight of issues that are really important to our constituents at the ground level. Some of that is being addressed through canvassing, but the real onus is on the candidate to identify those issues that are most important. The second part of that is that we want to focus on the future. We want our candidates to tell people, this is what I want to work for. This is how I would like to make your life better by the things that I'm going to do. If we only focus on the failings of the incumbent, we're doomed. It's just not going to work. That will get us perhaps the beginning of a conversation that won't get us away. In our local elections, conveying the message, getting it to the individual voters, Dee again talked about door-to-door. Door-to-door in our county is absolutely crucial. It's hard because we only have a few areas with population density where you can walk. So most of it is driving. And we'll see, you're going to need, if you want to be efficient and hit all the doors, you've got to have somebody driving you from door to door. So they roll up, you hop out, door to door, hop back in, go to the next one.
Keith, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
Can we see a show of hands, how many people have canvassed? Oh, great.
True.
Right, okay, so this is my trick, right? If I can get somebody to canvass once, they love it, because that's how they meet their neighbors. I mean, people give me glasses of wine, coffee, lunch, I'm not kidding. It's a really terrific way to get to know the people here. So I'm just plugging for the canvassing.
Terrific, Johnny. I hadn't thought of that. I'm going to use that too.
Come with me.
No, if you're a candidate for us in Columbia County, you'll get glasses of wine. Clearly, in a county this size, I mean, there are about 65,000 people in our county, so you can't go to every door. And even if you did, a lot of people aren't home. So you have to have other means of other media messaging through print, through mailing, signs. Signs, by the way, lawn signs are ubiquitous. My own feeling is that if you don't have lawn signs, people notice. If you do have lawn signs, it's okay, and maybe you'll get some name recognition out of it. It won't get you votes, but it will lose you votes if you don't have them. Public appearances, we talk about sportsmen's clubs and volunteer fire companies. Two biggest places to go to get votes. And it's a challenge for some people because maybe they didn't grow up as a volunteer fireman or as a sportsman. But you need to do it, and it's the kind of, you have to be a genuine candidate and have a genuine position on things that are important to people at sportsmen's clubs and firehouses. And lastly, fundraising. You know, at the town level, it's probably doable with a small amount of fundraising to raise $10,000 for a board seat or $15,000 for a supervisor's seat. At the county level, we're starting to talk about $50,000, $100,000 for a countywide race. So this requires some serious fundraising. And again, it's the candidate who does the majority of the fundraising. It's one of those inescapable facts of life. But we at the county committee feel it's part of our obligation to help raise that funding through our funding, our donor lists, and the people that we think who are passionate about the progressive issues that drive us forward. To help the candidate win, the candidate needs a campaign manager. You know, the perfect campaign manager would be your mother. Because the candidate is easily distracted, the candidate easily goes off in directions that are perhaps not as efficient as it might be. And the candidate also needs help in continuing in the agreed upon plan for the campaign to win. So the campaign manager is really responsible for everything. They're responsible for the petitioning, the filing, the periodic reporting, the scheduling, the whole campaign, and the care and feeding of the candidate. It's great to have a field manager if you've got volunteers that are doing work. It's terrific to have. Larger campaigns always have one. You certainly need a treasurer, campaign financing, filing requirements. First of all, you got to have somebody to collect the money. But yes, over here.
What is a field manager?
Well, a field manager is, in a way, it's sort of like a deputy campaign manager, but they're really focused on the outward efforts towards the voters. So if you've got volunteers who are working for your campaign, they may be doing phone banking, you're setting up the phones, setting up the lists, scheduling the volunteers, thanking them for all their work, following up with any leads that come out of the phone banking, so that's one. If you're doing canvassing, there may be times when you've got people, surrogates, calling on people who are appearing in something to represent the candidate, they would do something like that. The treasurer has to be registered with the state campaign finance section and files the reports. It's not necessarily a difficult job, but it is one which requires attention to detail, and it's one of those things, again, that if you don't do it correctly, you can get into some difficulty, and you don't really want to do that. And lastly, certainly something we're focusing on is public relations. We see a lot of opportunity and a lot of challenge, whether it's in terms of letters to the editor, or whether it's in terms of press releases, where we really, in Albany County, haven't been as well represented as we should have been, and we're trying to correct that. We think there's a lot of opportunity there, building issue awareness, building candidate awareness as we go along.